Good evening to you and welcome to SABC 1 on a start at 7:30 on this beautiful Sunday evening rather. I want to remind you that of course this is Women's Month to you women, and my name is Tumelo Mototwa. Of course tonight we are discussing women in business. We want to know women in business and if they are, exactly do we source these opportunities. I just want to quote the government's for the 2014 Women's Month together to enhance women's opportunity to economic empowerment. But exactly how do we achieve this? Of course, tonight to ensure that of our question and before we get into that, I'd like you
as month celebration, Sunday Love Day Spa at Fourway. It is here that we looked at the contribution made by women, particularly in small businesses, building a better South Africa. This year, the government has this month working to enhance women's opportunities, economic empowerment. Women showed us around her beautiful which she has made a success.
I decided to start probably about 12 years ago because there was such a need women to get pampered and to be spoiled. It was finding trained staff. We employ tea ladies, 50% are single moms, and to sustain families. That's where we saw the opportunity to train young women to build a sustainable business. Need to access the opportunities set up to assist. It's always difficult to find loans from banks, private loans from individuals. So definitely assist in helping small business. But also young women have that drive to start their own. We have developed ladies, trained many women, their beauty, nail, to the extent that they can one day their own beauty salons. A spa here, we've also other salons in Johannesburg.
We also spoke to a street vendor highlighting the struggles of day business women.
Easy ukuthi uthola imali nje ngiyoqala ibhizinesi. Nginokubabona lapha emarobotini bezocela. Mama ungecela maybe for 2 manga le mali somewhere ukuthi dog than ukuthi every day.
We hope that these two hard-working women inspire others and encourage young women in the same way.
well, of course, in business, particularly women in businesses, and we are asking for making it our poll question for tonight, asking, are women allocated opportunities to start? Well, you can SMS yes or no, which is 34065. Go to our social media, Facebook, live on SABC 1, Twitter, it's at SABC 1, and do hashtag SA. Alternatively, you can call the studio and share in your comment number 011-714-80. Well, the ladies joining take this discussion even further with the presence of the spokesperson Ministry of Women, Ms. as well as one-day leader contestant, as well as a young entrepreneur. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining. I'll start with the poll question, and I'll hand it over to you. Are there enough opportunities for entrepreneurs in South Africa?
Yeah, in terms of our country, all of us, in terms of opportunity, jobs, in terms of all that men have access to, it all depends on men as to whether do we go out evidently grab what is rightfully ours. At the same, we go out there and grab them. Information as possible. If there's a need that you speak to the Department of, which does not render any service. In most cases, it's where the confusion comes of women wanting to access assistance, they would come to a department hours to look for funding. And what we do is to add, right? We mainstream into the different government departments, private sector. We go to a DTI where they distribute funding, and we see how we gender mainstream there so that they accommodate. They are not putting the women out there and not making for them to access funding. The president has started a new ministry to believe a young and excited about the of SMMEs being challenges. So there's a dedicated towards looking at with a sharp eye of women, Minister Shabangu. We sit down with the minister in charge, Minister Lindwe Zulu. How do we mainstream funding processes? Your policy, women do not find it difficult at business and propelled into the economy, all equal in terms of the constitution.
And Bongikile, I want to pose this. You're a young entrepreneur and an enterprise called Hede. Mam Machipa spoke about opportunity. Was this the case for you?
So, and it's important to first understand what it is for you and you and your business. So, opportunities from a monetary front as well as non-monetary opportunities which you would need, such as as well as net various platforms to enhance business. So once you the nature of your business from the, you are then able to position yourself properly to opportunities. I believe then it's important first to define what you need, because say for example, I did not necessarily need to start enterprise, and I business with Tony Glass. She has her own tea product called Collection Tea. I just needed her. So we then were able to work on consignment, which means then pay and understand what opportunity is and able to maximize how you.
But let's get into whether or not entrepreneurship is for everyone, because sometimes I feel like to entrepreneurship because of situations. Perhaps I'm a street vendor, I need to and feed my children. So I'm just passionate about it and therefore pursuing entrepreneurship. So is entrepreneurship for every?
It can be. So. We're not of the same make. Need to know as to what are us as women, what is your passion drives you. It does not when an opportunity is there, there's a tender out there and you are related. There's something that networks in assist us to get it. It does not mean you deliver on it if it's not your passion or drive you. So you need to know yourself as a person. I like getting myself kind of businesses. Do I like getting my? So not everybody can. Women can be successful in different. I'm not an entrepreneur myself. But I'm making my mark in my where I'm passionate and I'm skilled.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. I mean, if we had to promote for everyone, then chances some people are for failure. And understanding entrepreneurship, one of the elements to our economic growth. It's not the in which women can participate. And if you want to look at entrepreneurial then perspective, could then assist in starting their own business. When you understand like your role and who you are, so am I then a contractor or am I one to reach an idea and stick with it? So
all right. Develop that idea and more, of course, return from the ad break. But before we remind you of our poll question, our question is, are women adequate opportunity to own businesses? Or perhaps if you are an assistant to an entrepreneur, give us a call 011-714, or alternatively you can go to Sunday Live on S1 and Twitter. It's at SABC1. But I'll leave it at that. We're taking our discussion further. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sunday Live as Women's Month, and we felt important to touch on women issues, particularly women in small business enterprises. So we're still joined by Nikila. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'll pose this question to you because Women's 2014 Women's Month theme to enhance women's to economic empowerment conversation, and you're very passionate emancipating women, rather assisting in that regard. Core challenges that women
I think starting with the first one would be as opposed to the which men tend to have. Tend to underestimate our, or we are limited. I think we are capable of doing. Number two would then be that women are right, and we direct responsibility towards families and take out from the time spent on our businesses to the time which men would businesses. And I think an issue which is really not gender thing, but really from perspective is the finance, and like a young who would then start her own business, they have the collateral. Institutions of finance would be in. So how do we then bridge those challenges?
But we do have a call in the line. Malanga, welcome to Sunday Live.
Hello, sithi kunjani?
Ngikhona
Ngikhona ngisacela ukukhuluma
ubulela kaZulu baba.
ukukhuluma amahlambi la eDanaza sisi. Siswami uyazi into mina ngokwami ukufisa bangayibambezeli benza amabhizinisi mfethu. Ungathatha ikusasa lesele ezandleni zabantu besimanje bebona bezozibambezela kuba evuleleke kuwo wonke Afrika mfethu. Ngicela bafama baka 1950 abangazange bayibambe ukuthi amadoda onke amathuba bekuwo zamanje, especially iyouth ayiyekele kulokala ima ngamakhona yenza amathuba ugovernment. Ngiyabonga sisi.
Thank you so much. Encouragement there from a man. Thank you so much. Adhering to the theme of women's. Marinale, another caller. To Sunday Live?
Yes, Ninja.
Me?
Hi, ngiyaphila la efeni.
Hi Karabo.
Hayi mina engakusho ukuthi ugovernment thuba usinikezile njengabantu besifazana. Kuyo umuntu ngamunye kunani nglawo mathuba ngoba so afuna ukuyenza yena because ngithi so singabomama menzele sizimisela khona amahlangane efana bositha uqala ibhizinisi wenza kanjani ufuna ukuthi work iplan uyenza kanjani basiza for free basiya sekukuya ngakuye ukuthi nifunani government yena uzenzile so akufuneki ukuthi uselo kanjani uma uhlele ekhona.
Thank you, Karabo. Thank you so much for that. So I'm just going to pose this question to you. Important. Karabo mentioned the fact there are opportunities, but are there really opportunities for women in rural areas that have kilometers to town? Information to access organizations, offices to assist women in business. Women.
Okay, maybe before I get to answer that question, do me to quickly correct the theme for celebrating anniversary of Women's Charter, 20 years of freedom, moving a non-racial, non-sexist South Africa. Now, somebody was saying, oh, quite, and we said, yes, the women's struggle has been from 1913. This position, women have been there, searching for the carrying of passes. They wanted to access means of the country because your movement was. Women have always been in the field, wanting to access the economic means of the country. Rural people who are in the rural, you do not all have to move to your Gauteng, to your city, do business. You can do business in little corner. Look, what is it? What is the market within your area? building on that. Offices that people can access municipalities. There are district municipalities people can go to access information to come as far as coming. Tell me about technology. They do not have access. Access particularly with your cell phone. You can download information, make calls or platforms, because young people social platforms, we are there as well. My department _@ Basadi, go there and say, how can I access? We follow up on you. Realize that you are in the rural area, and we hook you up with the different municipalities to say this person. But what I need to today is that the Department of Women on the coordination and advocacy of policy that will help the mainstream them to feel like it's their counterparts.
Interesting. From the ad break, spokesperson on the programs that are in place, the active programs that are in place, movements that are even on social media way of and acquaint themselves. Also be watching from, you can acquaint yourself with all these available for you as businesswoman or even just in South Africa. Well, stations, we'll be back after this. Thank you so much for staying with us. Tumalomo Totwani, and we are particularly touching on business. So if you're an entrepreneur, professional, you need to make sure not exactly which programs are to empower you and to give you really start your business. I'll start off with you, spokesperson. What exactly are in place to women in business?
We as a department is that we do monitor on behalf of women to see when a department to certain percentages in terms of assistance, we track as to how progress and we intervene, then capacitate to an institution capacity. We also look at research agenda. Those are the means to it that women accommodate, because we address issues of women. We must have an informed position of an important thing such as responsive budgeting. We look at policies and the government itself as is our budgeting responsive agenda, or are we budgeting for the patriarchal society or for a democratic South Africa equal beneficiaries of the opportunity? So these are the three we are going to see to it that we assist with. Going to a department such as the new one, the SMM. Let's see how you have budgeted. Does your budget respond? Many women in terms of to be beneficiary of the be allocating, because we are bringing to attention is that majority in the country, like I said earlier, women are the ones families in most cases, not really, but in terms of the well-being of the family, it's women who are in the forefront. It's women who are in the forefront to budget accordingly so that women are.
Take a few calls before we get to you, Bongi. Ngalepi from Mpumalanga. Welcome to Sun. Yes.
For your guest. I'd like to know, would you say for Fazane, she likes to start business, but ama-roles wakhe nokuba because umsebenzi wasekhaya. What is your advice kubantu besifazane at the same time bheka abantwana and badlala ekhaya, and then how do they feel in anything whereby our women used only for fronting?
Very important. Because unfortunately I have to cut you there because I'm so proud of the men calling in on behalf of. So let's see if we have one more caller. Hi, they're live. Hello? Are you gone? Oh, I was hoping to have another gentleman there. I'm going to give this one to you.
And responding to that, this is where men also in helping businesses, in how, you know, and in being of where are we as a society today. Society today economically needs women, and then when we have the assistance, male counterparts, we are able to is then decreased, and the response equally, you know. So I don't want to cook and clean, hold. I can't do that, but I'll.
And due to time, very know that her destiny is not just a tea; it's basically extra special as well, right?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, Tony Glass Collection Tea. We have two divisions, being the as well as the human capital. In particular, with the human capital development division, we seek to accelerate the economic participation, an enabling environment for young women through tea, and tradition of how tea has a tradition amongst we would gather and we would conversate, know that it would be things of substance. We then bring that to young. We are then saying we need to take over our older. The tools that we are then bringing.
Out of time, but I'd like to thank you both. The Ministry of Women, young entrepreneur and thank you for joining us. Well, I'm your host, Dumela Mototwane. Sunday, time slot 7:30. Don't miss it.